I'm Lorrie Mickelson, your host for this online summit, moving forward together, mastering our new habits for a fit, fearless, and fabulous life. I am so excited to present to you speakers who are sharing their very best advice from their years of experience and training to help all of us not only through this challenging time, but help us come out of this challenging time feeling healthier, stronger, inspired, and optimistic about our future. Let me introduce you to our speaker. Kelly Howard is the motivation and adventure coach who works with women who want to upgrade their habits, increase motivation, and bring fun and even some adventure into their lives. She empowers clients through fitness coaching and outdoor activities like hiking, biking, backpacking, and kayaking. Her Fit is Freedom podcast, courses, and events have changed the lives of thousands of women. As a frequent guest on podcasts and television, she is also the creator of the Fox Outdoor Houston Adventure Series. She's a serial entrepreneur who's created and sold 4 different companies and is the founder of Bayou City Outdoors, the largest outdoor and activity social club of its kind. She currently calls Houston, Texas her home, but can frequently be found kayaking rivers and traveling trails around the world. Kelly is talking to us about movement, motivation, and the outdoors, why it matters now more than ever. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. And thank you, all of y'all, for being here.
Oh, that is, as I read your bio, it just gets me excited to move outdoors. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you came to your adventure life is what I'm going to call it?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. It was probably, I don't know, time runs together, but maybe 15, 18 years ago, I bought a company and it was an outdoor activity company, the Bayou City Outdoors. And really at the time, 4 activities, I was a sailor and a skater. Like I did long distance skate racing, but I didn't kayak. I didn't bike. I didn't do any of the things I do now, but I had to figure them out really quick. And so I did. I did figure them out. And really, one of the reasons I'm so good at this is I have made every mistake in the book. And I've learned from them. And so what I came to realize is that how much I love doing the things I get to do. Like I am so driven by the outdoors and so excited by not just getting to do it myself, but meeting women who want to do it too. And just showing the ropes. We should be outdoors. It's so good for us. It's just so good for us.
And this is what's impacting me right now, as well as you say, we should be outdoors and sometimes there's lots of things going on in the house and we're looking after the house and just everything that kind of piles on us. And during this time where I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I just really, really feel like going outdoors. What would you say would be the advantage right now of just heading outdoors wherever you are in the world right now, whatever season is going on? And in particular, because wherever we've been indoors more. When we head outdoors, what are the benefits?
Well, actually, I like to use an example, which is a funny one to me, just because I find it humorous. But for a few years now, in many places in Europe, doctors have been prescribing going outside, like literally writing a script to get people out, because without diving into all the science behind it, but we have so many things that it does for us. Like it clears our brains, it heightens our mood, it lowers our stress, it allows us to move more. I mean, a lot of times we get so used to, here I am in Houston, Texas, okay? And when we're talking, it's going into summer in Houston. And Houston can be pretty epic in the summer, like hot, hot. But what happens is that when you stay inside, then you become what I call climate controlled. Like you're literally controlled by that little range of climate that is allowed to you on the inside. And when you're outside, you have to deal with all of it. And it's just so much better for our immune systems. It's better for our minds and it's better for our brains. And I will get off my soapbox because I can go crazy on this one.
And as you said, just moving out outside, moving outdoors, you're going to feel that benefit. Now, what you've done though, you've also taken it up a notch. So first, absolutely, the benefits of just walking out your door, walking around the block. When we think about that concept of then taking it up a notch in terms of adventure, and we talk about walking to hiking, kayaking, some of the things that you and I were talking about. I said, well, on my bucket list for sure, but I just kind of haven't got organized around being able to figure out how to start this. Like if I want to move from, let's say, walking to hiking, what's the difference? What would you suggest?
Okay, first, don't overthink it.
No?
Okay. Then, and that is true because a lot of times, especially, I think women, especially because we are organized and we do plan because we know that we need to take care of everything, right? We do all the things. And I see a lot more people in the last few months. I see so many more people in my neighborhood walking, like they're just out walking and they've never been out walking before. And it's brilliant, right? And so one of the things I'll do is I'll suggest sometimes a couple of the local trails that are just basic trails. Like, there's nothing big about them. There's no big issues with them. Sometimes, and I'm just talking about hiking right now, but sometimes people will be like, isn't it a little dangerous to go out to the trails by yourself? Really? I mean, in general, I'm not going to tell you that it's totally safe, but I will say that usually these trails are a lot safer than just being in the city.
Yeah.
Being in your car, all of those things. So then we can go back to more safety, but just like the idea is that a lot of times, how would I say this? The best way I can say it is that we know a lot more than we think we know, right? We know a lot more than we think we know. There is a ton of stuff that I love to, tell people that they should have and do and all those things before they head out in the woods. But like just basically like a couple of real quick ones is, know your trail, pick an out and back trail, have the water, or if you're somewhere right now where it's cold, make sure you have, all the good clothing, and then just go out for a little while. Always tell someone where you're going.
Right. Yeah.
And these are like super, super simple tips, but you want me to keep going? Because I can tell a whole lot about how to get outside. Another thing is like, think about, right before I got on this call with you, I got an email from one of my clients and she's like, I bought a stand-up paddleboard, but I don't know how to do it.
Yes. That's
right?
a great question. Yeah.
And I have a video on how to do it. So I just sent her the video. I'm like, it's not rocket science. And if nothing else, you just take that stand-up paddleboard or you take whatever it is that you just got, a bike, a stand-up paddleboard, a kayak, whatever it is, go somewhere that's really simple, easy to get to. And like I said, stand-up paddleboard, start by sitting on your back end and paddling around. Just get comfortable. Like a lot of times we think that we need to do all the things, right? Start slow, start simple, and you can always build up. And so like a lot of these things, they're easier than we are led to believe. Like young guys may think they're easy, or kids may think they're easy, or whatever it is, right? And they're easy for us too. Like totally easy for us too, whatever it is that we want to do.
That the steps around starting again, that they go across, whether or not we're starting a new exercise program, a weight training program, or we're heading outside and we're trying a new activity. Again, the whole idea of just getting started and starting slowly. Now, when you got me actually thinking about, I hadn't even thought about the paddleboarding.
I know.
I love that whole concept from a yoga perspective. I have seen yoga on the paddleboard as well. I haven't actually tried that, and that is too something that I'm thinking about.
Cool.
And yeah, so I'm going to send you pictures, actually, Kelly.
Awesome. Do. I love it.
I get going on that. So if we were to combine, let's say if we're doing some strength training at home, and we've been lifting some dumbbells, or we've been doing some body weight stuff at home, very often we don't think about heading outside with this. And I know that I love when I just even head out and use my stairs in the back, just to add a little bit something different. But again, if we're heading out with, if you have an exercise partner and you're heading out on a trail, just suggest using some, even what's out there, like to just add a little bit of variety into some push-ups, or how would you use rocks and stumps? And have you done that as part of any of your adventure?
Here's the thing is that when let's say you're going to go on, I'll use a kayaking trip as an example. So you're going to go on a kayaking trip. And what I learned is that even though you're paddling, right, which is basically core, shoulders.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So that's what you're doing. But you're going to also be lifting, carrying, all of those things, walking to the put in, everything, right? So I'm not somebody who, I'm going to digress for a second. There's a gentleman in the park that we go to who runs through the park barefoot in very little shorts and this huge log on his shoulder, and he's running through the trails, right? That would not be me.
Right.
I tend to be a little less like, use everything that's available. And actually, in a little bit, now that you asked me that, I'm probably a little straight-laced when it comes to that. I do body weight, and I do exercises at home. Yeah. My outdoor stuff is normally cardio.
Yeah.
I do what I call kayak boot camp. And kayak boot camp for me is just me. It's picking up all those kayaks, moving around, getting them, carrying them, cleaning them, doing all those things. Kayak boot camp happens a couple of times a month. It's a heck of a workout, right?
Yeah.
But then if you went like a little further and thought about when you said your steps in the back, heck yeah, like using stairs, using for us, they're bayous. Like my house backs up to what's called a bayou in Houston, and it's kind of a slow moving body of water. And there's an incline going down. So of course, like that is something I run down, run up, run down, run up, carry boats down, carry boats up. All of that, right? Because you need to think about using all pieces of your body, all parts of your body, just like with yoga, right? Mm-hmm. Like that is the third piece. I tell people, my outside is usually my cardio. My inside's usually my weights, lifting body weight. Right. And then there's the yoga, because you need to bring that yoga piece in.
Yeah, that is I love that, the integration of just as you're doing the activity, recognizing that that is your strength component. And I will talk about that as we move around, even as we're doing our gardening in the backyard as well. It's like we're moving pots and but it's not until we actually kind of sit back and realize, as you're talking about from a kayaking standpoint, the natural kind of weight training and strength that is part of that your focus, as you say, is the cardio, and as you said, core, huge in kayaking. But you have all of these components that you don't think about them separately. I'm strength training now. I'm doing this now. They just naturally integrate together to get you moving forward and to get you going where you're going. And when we don't think about it, sometimes it's more enjoyable.
For me, it is. I mean, I love the gym. I am a gym rat for most of my life. Right now, where I am, there's no gym. So, I'm coming up with other ways of exercising. And I do remember like how enjoyable it is to be able to do the things that you like doing, and just like a small little teeny trick that I use whenever I'm out. Not whenever I'm out, but when I'm thinking about it, truly, is the mindfulness in exercise. Like the mindfulness, just take kayaking, for example. A lot of times women will think that, oh, it's so much arm, I won't be able to do it because I don't have the arm strength. But the mindfulness piece is the posture, it's the core, it's the movement, it's all those pieces that come together. Like it's almost like a ballet on water. And hiking is the same thing, right? Like, as you're going up or down an incline, using your core and pulling in, it's just like being super mindful of what you're doing. And when you're doing that too, the other thing that happens, and this is why I think being outside is so good for us, is that your mind disengages from the things that you need to be doing, right? Like I've got all these things to do on my list. I need to get home or whatever it is. And it engages with your body, and it engages with nature, and it engages with just all the things that relax us naturally.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's total integration. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, right there. And then you just made me think about that feeling. And I know the term sometimes is we're in the zone.
In flow. Yeah.
Yeah, in the zone, in flow. And we can be in that in different activities for sure, and because it can happen inside in our activities. But would you agree that very often it does happen more outside, being in the flow?
For me, it definitely does. It definitely does. And it also, one thing about being outside is that you connect with people. Like a lot of the stuff I do alone. But like if I go whitewater kayaking, I'm definitely with other people, right? And that is when I'm connecting and making friends and being with friends, and it's the laughter and it's the joy and just the sheer, to me, being like a kid and enjoying just being outside. And you meet some really cool people when you're outside too. Like with the exception of the women that I've met online, the friends I've made outside are my like big crowd too. Yeah,
you do. Because again, when you're learning new activities and you're challenging, I can imagine in groups of, let's say in your adventure groups and this actually brings me to my next question, as we contemplate, again, in all the benefits of just stepping outside. So as Kelly, you've talked about whether you're stepping outside to go around the block, wherever you are, or in your backyard, you're going to get the benefit. And then you just kind of play with that afterwards and say, well, what else can I do outside? So for women who are thinking, again, along the line of the fit, fearless, and fabulous, if they were interested in wanting to do more kayaking or backpacking, let's say adventures or trips, and I know it's different in different areas, and we're again speaking to people in various countries here, where would, though, if we can talk to how you do this in Houston, do you go to the city or the town? Do you Google? Do you offer any advice in terms of your site, in terms of how do we challenge ourselves with some of these activities?
Yep, absolutely. First one, is that it's in our head. Okay. I just want everyone to know that you like the mindset sometimes is that I can't do these things because I haven't done them before. Absolutely. Like just, I work with women, and most of the women I work with are 40, 45 and up, and they've never done these things before. There's some trepidation. Absolutely. We can all do it. And not only can we do it, we can just like rock it. The next piece is that you need to decide what it is that you want to do. Okay. Are you interested in learning to go hiking? Are you interested in cycling? Are you interested in, if you're interested in backpacking, I'm going to assume that you've already been hiking.
Okay.
And if you haven't been hiking, then start with hiking before backpacking. Okay. Water, like decide, is it going to be a kayak or a stand-up paddleboard? A lot of times the first questions that pop up is equipment, right? Hiking equipment, probably the easiest, maybe some boots and some poles. Right. Your stand-up paddleboard, you can buy an inflatable paddleboard because a lot of times they're heavier or they're harder to transport. So you've got to think about transportation. Same thing with the kayaks, right? So just kind of like think about what the thing is that you'd like to do. And the other question is what have you always wanted to do? All right? Because I bet you most of us have always wanted to do something. And if you can, let me tell a super quick story. This was 20 years ago. I'm reading a magazine article, and it's about this river in Texas. It's a whitewater river. And I remember looking at Phil saying, wow, if I was younger, I'd learn to whitewater kayak. About 10 years later, I get the opportunity to take my group to go whitewater kayaking or learn to go whitewater kayaking. I had no idea what was happening. Like I was clueless. Like I'd never thought really about it since then. And then now that's what I do. So think about the fact that age has nothing to do with it. And then like, what is it that you've always wanted to do? Find something and then just pick one thing and do it a little bit. Okay. You can find trails. Most of the things that we're talking about have trails involved, whether they're dirt trails, water trails, or cement trails. And there's an app called All Trails. All Trails does a pretty good job of coming up with trails in the around the area. And you just want to know like where you're going to go, what you need, and if you need to have somebody with you.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And if you do need to have somebody with you, then pick a buddy that's lots of fun to play with.
Yeah, there and so much for when you talk about the motivation that helps. That when one of us is not feeling like perhaps we're wanting to try a new adventure or we're feeling like we need a little push, then yes, that extra little support from somebody else for sure.
Yeah, having a good accountability buddy can be helpful. Don't rely on that person unless they're like your coach, because accountability buddies do kind of come and go. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, having a good one is gold.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I do know that I'm going to be I already have a list, but I'm going to be digging into it a little bit more for sure. Now, Kelly, you have a free gift for our audience that everyone, you can just click below this video. Kelly, do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. I have this belief right now that a lot of us really need things to look forward to. It's been a bit of a year, and people have become a little bit fatigued and, mind fatigued and personally fatigued just by the overwhelm. So we need things to look forward to. And in this gift is a couple of my favorite ways of creating ideas of what it is that you want to look forward to. Like we just talked about, do you want to go hike? Do you want to go bike? What are those things that you want to do? I mean, I'm always going to tell you to get outside and go have fun. I mean, that's I'm like broken record, but so that's a couple of them. There's, I think one of my favorite meditations is in there. And one of the things about that meditation is that sometimes we think about, we've probably heard about doing like a future you meditation where you kind of see yourself in the future. But I always encourage people in this meditation to look back and thank the person that you are right now, because you would never be your future you if you hadn't started taking the actions right now.
Nice.
And then there's some other tips and tricks and downloads and fun stuff in there.
Oh, that's fantastic. And again, just really builds on our discussion. And I just think that's so important. You know, we get these things in our mind, we get motivated, and then boom, there is a free gift to support us to move forward. So, Kelly, if you could leave us with one tip, routine, habit on a daily basis that I would say either kind of motivates us or reminds us to move outside, or something that we do outside, what would that be?
Okay. It's going to be two things. The first one is that it's going to be schedule what it is that you want to do. If you don't schedule it, it is not real. And I like having people schedule for a full week. 2 weeks is even better if you can do it. Schedule in pencil, because things are going to happen. And then decide what you want to hit. Are you going to hit 80% of that schedule, or are you going to hit 90% of that schedule? Don't ever like force yourself to 100%, because it doesn't happen. And then the other thing is that truly know that all of us can do these things that we want to do. Start slow, start small, but just start, because we really can all do it. And I promise you. Yeah.
Oh, that is fantastic advice at so many levels. And the title of your talk today, in terms of motivation, you nailed that.
Thank you.
Nicely done. And Kelly and I have known each other for a few years, and reconnecting here again, it has been absolutely lovely. Thank you so much, Kelly, for taking the time to share your, again, years of experience with our audience. And again, don't forget to click below for Kelly's free gifts. And don't forget to join us again for another amazing speaker who is helping us to move forward to be more fit, fearless, and fabulous. Bye for now.